Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday morning Royal News Network live stream. I am so excited you guys are here today, and there's so much to discuss. So many interesting things going on this week. We have a lot of news about the coronation. We know now that Harry is attending, not Meghan and the kids, which I just uploaded a video where I just think Archie and Lily's lives are kind of sad. I think they're kind of sad. Their parents don't let them go to these big historic family events, and they're stuck at home in California with the people they see every day. And I think that's just really sad. So I did a video on that because I really kind of wanted to discuss that, because I think Harry and Meghan are putting their kids in a really, really bad spot in the future. And then we also have just general coronation chaos. Apparently they did their first run through and it went really long, and Charles was tripping over his robe, or there's concerns about that. The royal ladies just got their final dress code. It seems like the dukes are very upset that they won't get to attend because they'll be relegated mostly to charitable workers and the royal family and some others and some international royal figures as well. We also have a lot of confirmation. So Queen Letizia and King Philippe of Spain are going. We have Crown Prince Haakon and Mette-Marit going. We also have Crown Princess Victoria and her father, King Carl Gustaf, going. And we have Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark and his wife Mary going. So lots of royal news about the coronation. It should be just a huge day. So much going on. And other than that, though, we don't have a ton because the Waleses obviously are on break right now because their children are. They did have a couple of private meetings. But anyway, so much to discuss. So just saying hello to a couple of people this morning. We got Ritz. Good morning. Tori Myers from Salt Lake City. Good morning. We got Jay Sand. Good morning, everyone. Should have made a quick coffee run first time I'm here before the start. I love Brittany's live. She's so cool and fun. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I was just preparing my hot cocoa, and then I also realized I need to put some food in my dog's bowl. So I did that real quick before the live stream started. I try to get up early every Saturday, and it just doesn't always happen. KX Star, good morning. Letizia, good morning. Letitia, good morning. We also have Kimberly, RD, Janice, Chris, good afternoon from Sweden. Oh, I'm going to Sweden this year, and I'm so excited. I'm very excited. You have no idea. I'm very, very excited. Rebecca, RD, Squirrel, watching through. Sorry. We have Janice asking a question. Brittany, do you know how we can watch the coronation in the U.S.? I think it'll be covered on all major channels. I would assume pretty much every major network will probably cover it. And they'll probably start, it'll be very early in the morning though. So it depends on what time zone you're in when it will start. Obviously, if you're in the Western time zone, it'll be really early because it starts at 11 and there'll be lots of lead up, I think, beforehand. Sorry, I'm just moving something. And so I think we'll have a lot of different, it'll be a long stream. So let's see, if it's 11 a.m. in the UK, it would be about 6 a.m. here on the East Coast, if I'm right, 5 hours ahead. So it'll be a long or very early morning. So like go out and have fun, like get donuts or something the morning before or something, and have tea or coffee or whatever, and just have fun. Brittany and Pippa, who is your favorite royal and why? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm not sure if Pippa has a favorite. I'm sure she loves the royal dog. She's more of a people person. So I don't know who her favorite would be. But who would ever give her the most belly rubs? That would be her favorite royal. But for me, I really do enjoy Queen Maxima. I think she's kind of awesome. She has her fashion is very much hit and miss. She does gala events usually very well, and she just wears a lot of jewelry. She likes the bling, and I appreciate that because we need more bling in our lives because the Brits don't give it to us. The Brits have 3 consistent TR events per year, and so those are the 2 state visits, and then we also had the 3rd, which is a diplomatic reception in December. Other than that, the Brits just don't do TR events much, and I hope maybe that changes with Charles and Camilla because I think that's really sad that they don't have quite as many as everybody else does, because there are a lot of families with huge and just massive TR events. And I just scrolled through just to make sure my mic was on, because I've been talking for a while at the top of the feed, and who knows, maybe nobody hears me. So, and Crash Hard, thank you so much for the tip. I really do appreciate it. And Rensky says, did you see Maxima's great dancer? I did. She is awesome. I think she's really fun. And, some people say she's probably a bit too attention seeking, but at the same time, she is queen, so I think that works. Her husband is king, though, obviously. But sometimes you need somebody who's kind of gregarious and a bit, not necessarily loves the limelight, but somebody who can really, like, who has a lot of charisma to her, and that she's one of those people. But she does understand that, her husband is king, and he's the one who is essentially in charge. But she's really good, I think, at bringing a lot of fun to the Dutch monarchy. So, and Kimberly says, is Maxima confirmed for the coronation? This is funny. We don't have a confirmation of who from the Dutch will attend yet. And it'll probably definitely be Maxima and Alexander. The question is will their firstborn daughter, Princess Amalia, attend as well? So she is in college, and generally, so this is a general thing. Coronations are usually attended by the the next heir to the throne. So obviously Norway, we have that. Denmark, we have that. But in Spain, the heir to the throne is 17. So she's a bit too young. She'll be turning 18 later this year. So it makes sense for her parents to go. The Netherlands is the same thing, although Amalia is, I think, maybe turning 20 this year. She's still, a bit young, and she had some security risks earlier this year, but it would be a good opportunity for her as well to get into the habit of doing some of these things. Carl Gustaf of Sweden, obviously he is the king, but he decided to go with Victoria. And I'm not sure quite why that would be, because it should be Victoria and Daniel, but hey. Because I think just Victoria and Daniel went to William and Catherine's wedding. So again, it all just depends on what the families decide to do. It's complicated. And so Lipsis says in the U.S., almost all major news outlets will be covering the coronation live. It'll also be live streamed on YouTube via the same channels or the British ones like Sky News and BBC. Yeah, I think you'll have a hard time not finding it somewhere. Obviously, you'll just want to double check like the night before, because usually if you have cable, you can kind of see how long the broadcast is scheduled for, and they should let you know kind of when they're thinking it'll start. But obviously you can switch through different things. You can live stream, you can watch cable, and just kind of compare the different coverages, because I do find that interesting. But I think generally when it comes to the coronation coverage, it'll be dominated really by the British newscast, and they'll pump out their feed to like Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, those sorts of things, because you can't get obviously the cameras of 12 different international news outlets into Westminster Abbey. So it'll definitely be during the coronation, it'll be most likely run by the BBC, but that live stream from in Westminster Abbey will be run exclusively by the BBC and shoved to the other outlets. That's how it'll work. Just because you just can't have like 14 million television or cameras in there. That just wouldn't work. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And I did hear back finally about the credential request. Pretty much if you're not associated with like the major news outlets, you're considered unaccredited press. And I did notice this during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Like I got close to, I think it was a French news outlet that was watching at St. Paul's Cathedral. So I understood. I assumed it would probably be a long shot, but I was just kind of hoping, because it would just be kind of nice not to have to get there quite at the crack of dawn. But thankfully I have a hotel that's close at hand, so I should be able to get there pretty easily. Oh, and I want to say, Sharon, thank you so much for the super sticker. You are so kind. And we got Robin as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate your guys' support. It means so much. And DP asked, do you know if there's a Middletons are invited? What do you think about Fergie not being invited? I think the Middletons will be there. I have no concrete proof of that, but I anticipate they're very close to Catherine, and she is the future queen. And when it comes to Fergie, I honestly think, to be quite honest, her and Andrew have been divorced for almost 30 years now. They separated over 30 years ago. So she doesn't need to be there. Especially if Andrew was in really good standing, maybe, but he's not even in good standing. And yeah, I don't see any point of him being there. Rensky asks, what do you plan on wearing the day of the coronation? So this is the thing. I need to actually probably make an errand today, because I actually finally have a little bit of a life I can utilize during the weekend. And I'm actually going to go today, and I have a company that I ordered my shirts from, and I need to order more shirts. So these are the recollections may vary shirts. Although I'm thinking about for the coronation, because I designed this one first and people were like, nah, we like Recollections may vary better. But it says, thank goodness Meghan is not coming. And I thought that would be a great coronation shirt to sell. So maybe I'll get like a small little group of that if you're all interested, because I just think that's hysterical. I think everybody's glad Meghan's not coming. But when it comes to what I'm wearing, so I will actually be hopefully being able to order some Royal News Network gear for myself that just has my network name on it, just because that would be helpful to me and other people. And then they'll go, oh, what is your channel? And so I'd have something that looks kind of official. And I have this lounge, like sweat jacket thing that I've had for a long time from a company I used to work for. And I love it. It's very comfortable. It's very cozy. I put it on quite a bit actually, because it's got pockets, but it's got the 3/4 zip. So I'm going to order something similar like that, but says Royal News Network. So that way, especially when I'm on planes and traveling, I can have something that says Royal News Network on it, and I can feel somewhat official and casual, and also like flying. So that's just what I want to do. It's definitely not going to be cheap, but I'm really excited about it. Diane Claire asked, Brittany, do you think Harry will be seated near the senior royals? I actually don't think so. I really do think he'll be shoved kind of close to the back. Very much a la the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, where he was sat in the second row. That was a big surprise to him. And I'm sure Meghan too. They're like, wait, we have to go inside? Because they were very much seated behind, as if they were lower ranked than the York's girls. And I'm sure that was shocking to them. They were shocked, especially when they're like, Harry's like, are you sure it's in there? That I could feel like there's that picture of him. And I'm like, I could just feel his like, that's not where I should be. That's not where I should be. And the usher's like, yeah, that's your seat, bud. So I think that will definitely be what happens this time as well. And that may have been part of what the negotiations were regarding, is where they were seating, and Harry and Meghan were not pleased with the locations that they were given. And again, they have no leverage here. Nobody likes them. Nobody really was excited. Everybody basically breathed a sigh of relief. Meghan's not coming. Now, I did try to argue in my videos that I think it's good that Meghan's not coming, yet at the same time, I think in the long run, it would have been better if she did come, if she wants to improve her public image. Her public image is in the crapper, and I just really don't think it'll get any better. I honestly don't. Because there's been this interesting interview that's come up too about this woman who I'm not sure exactly what the connection is, but they've shown bits and pieces of it. And she's talking about people who have met and interacted with Meghan, talking about how she's just fake. She's just very fake. You don't really get to know her. She'll ask about your family. So she's very outwardly sort of charming. And yet at the same time, she's somebody you can't really get to know. And she's somebody definitely who is rather, what's the word to say? Just very much seems like a narcissist, I hate to say, and just has really a fake charm and can turn it off whenever she wants to. And she'll be nice to your face. I think she's somebody who will be nice to your face and always talk behind your back. That's kind of who I think she is. Asma asked, will William speak to Harry? I don't think so. I think that's kind of generally what people are thinking, is that he won't talk to William at all, and William will go out of his way not to talk to Harry. I think that'll be what happens. And then we have Kayla. Good morning from Pensacola. What was the order that the RF exited for Easter? Isn't it usually by order of succession? Usually it is, but obviously they didn't do it that way. And you got to think, this isn't a formal royal event. If it was, yes, they would enter in the line of succession, to be very formal in those sorts of ways. But this is really a family moment. It's an Easter service. This is not something open to the public. So that I don't think they came in order. I think it's fine. They came in, the family groups that they wanted to chat with and who they are friends with. And I think that that's perfectly fine. That's completely fine. So I think that it was a bit surprising, but at the same time, does it make sense? Yes. And is there moments where, of course, they'll perhaps, yeah, I just think it was more of a casual event. And so they're not that strict on it. And again, it all depends on the event. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think such strict formality is always good. Asma asked, do you think Archie and Lily will have any interaction with kids their own age? I think they do. But honestly, they're just, I just think they live a sad life. They have so many extended cousins they could hang out with. And I know that people do move for jobs. Like I actually lived a lot away from a lot of my extended family, but did my parents always try to get us back as much as possible to see them? Yeah. And Harry and Meghan have denied their kids that. And my grandparents were never coronated or crowned, but it was like, we just went back for my grandfather's 90th birthday, my grandmother's 90th birthday. We went back for their 50th wedding anniversary and just recently their 70th wedding anniversary. And so even though you don't see your family members all the time, you go to their big events, or you try to recognize, their lives and their achievements and those sorts of things. And I feel like Harry and Meghan it's just so incredibly distasteful, I think, for them not to bring the kids in particular, and just kind of sad. Hello from Utah. Do you think Meghan might file for divorce during the coronation? This is from Liz. I don't think she will yet. But could that be in the offing? Maybe, because most of their stuff seems so separated anymore. If you think about it, most of their opportunities and everything, they just seem so separate. So this idea that they would be perhaps divorcing in the future, and in any ways, I think that there are. I just don't think they have a strong foundation for a relationship or for a marriage, because I don't think they have anything in common besides Harry's obsessive love for Meghan and Meghan's obsessive love for herself. I think beyond that, they just don't have a very close relationship. They have nothing in common. They have some common history, being both children of divorce, but beyond that, very, very little in a lot of ways. And so I just think, what keeps you guys together besides money and Harry's obsessive need to save his mother and Meghan's obsessive need to pretend to be his mother so he can save her? Beyond that, I just don't see what their relationship is. Asma says, any update on Harry suing the Home Office? No, I don't think we have any of that. Sorry, I'm going back up through the feed to get the questions I missed earlier. And Michelle asks, do you think Harry will bring his guru for emotional support? If he does, do you think he has prior clearance from the palace? He may try to bring somebody like that. I mean, I would not be surprised in the slightest. But at the same time, again, none of Harry or Meghan's stuff looks particularly good. And he looks so hippy dippy anymore. And I'm not a hippy dippy person. And the meditating, and golly, if you've never seen their scene of meditation from the reality TV show, it is so cringe. You need to look it up if you haven't seen it. And then this woman goes, what the media says about you is not true. And they're sitting there with their hands open, and Meghan starts crying because what the media tells about me is not true. And I'm like, well, if enough people believe it, I think there's some truth there. The collective mass intelligence of the world kind of says, we all think you're fake. And Meghan does nothing to dissuade that notion at all. Question, Terry asked, what did you make of Tom Bauer saying that we can all thank Kate that Meghan will not be attending the coronation? Do you think that's true? I don't know if that's true, but I will say that Catherine, I'm sure, was like, well, as she can come, but I don't want her to really have anything to do with myself or my children. I think that was her line in the sand. And I think Charles respected that William and Catherine are just very, very much worried, concerned, and just so done with Harry and Meghan and don't want them near their children. Like I did a video this morning. I don't know if you caught it yet. After you're done with the live stream, you should go watch it. As that, when they had Lily's first birthday party, even though obviously George and Charlotte were in Wales with their parents, Louis was at home and he could have technically have gone. But I think because the Waleses were so worried about how Harry and Meghan would treat perhaps Maria, their own child, if they weren't there, that they didn't let him go. And because we have to remember, there's a lot of reports that Nanny Maria perhaps was one of the Kate's staff members that Meghan went after. And Catherine's like, you can't do that to my staff members. Please do not do that. And obviously, if Meghan and her friend Jessica Mulroney were making fun of Charlotte, which has been strongly alleged when it came to the bridesmaids fitting, then of course Catherine would not want her staff member who she treasures dearly. They've had Nanny Maria now for close to 9 years. And so she'll be there with the kids. She'll probably retire after she's done helping them raise their children. I don't want to say helping raise their children, but she's there definitely in a supportive capacity and helping manage their children and their lives. But once they're out of the house and everything, she'll probably retire and she probably won't do another family. But that's a very secret bond, I think. Sharon says you could do some dog shirts saying Royal News Network butter and biscuit. Would love that. I would love that too, because Miss Pippa needs a Royal News Network little outfit. She doesn't like shirts. I actually had a Halloween costume for her earlier this year. It was a kissing booth costume because she loves to give kisses. And it was so funny because I put that on her and she just looks at me as she's like, why are you torturing me? You're torturing me. Why is that? Why are you torturing me? Okay, so we have Vicky. Thank you so much for the tip. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And then we have Gemma as well. The coronation really is the last hurrah. No more big upcoming royal events, and Netflix spare behind them. What do you think Harry and Meghan will resort to in order to keep the money rolling in? Oh, see, this is a question. They're supposedly going to do rom-coms because Meghan loves rom-coms. And I'm like, but I just don't know if you can actually pull that off or not. She's never been a producer of anything. And honestly, I think they're very lazy. They like to act like they're these big hot shots and everything. But I think they're charity prudes. They don't do diddly squat, in my opinion. They don't do that much. And to be a creative, a good one, you really have to, it's a long, arduous process. You really have to put in a ton of effort to make things happen. And the problem for Harry and Meghan is if they outsource all the heavy lifting, they come out at the end with very little, much less than they would if they were the true creative forces behind it. So what I mean by that is, so let's say, we know Meghan can quote unquote write. I don't think she's a great writer, but she could attempt to write the script. She could attempt to, hire all the actors. She could attempt to maybe do some directing, something like that. And the acting, if she took on all those roles, yes, maybe they would come out with a bigger paycheck, but what if they have to hire writers? What if they have to hire directors? What if they have to hire different producers to get things off the ground? What if they have to outsource so much that really at the end of the day, they don't get a big cash payout because they gave up so much control to other people? That's the risk you run if you're not really, I think, the true creative behind the force, is that you end up with not as much money. And honestly, I think they're living a billionaire's lifestyle and a millionaire's salary. So they're making decent money, but are they going to making the level of money that they should? I don't think so. Because if you think about it as well, I'm not sure just the dates of how everything comes together. But when you think Ryan Murphy and Shonda Rhimes and their deals with Netflix, at least Shonda is producing a lot of content for them. She has Bridgerton. I think she has, a spinoff of Bridgerton. She has a lot going on. And Ryan Murphy at least had one show. I'm sure maybe he's had a couple others I'm just not familiar with. And he also has, I think, an extended deal with somebody else too. Maybe he's trying to run out in addition to that. But they produce a lot of content. Harry and Meghan's content is so slow coming out. I mean, it took them forever to get the reality TV show together. But again, it had to be overly wrought, overly managed and everything. So I just don't know how much of that is the case. I just don't know what they'll do, because really they need the royals. That's why Harry's going. They need the royals. And that's why they took the tiles for their kids. They need the royals to make themselves relevant because they're not talented enough to do it for themselves. Okay, we have Philomena says, Brittany, you hear that Meghan wears wires, took private pictures of Charlotte sleeping, but if this is true, why have we not seen pics or audios other than the footage of Frogmore Castle, or Frogmore Cottage? I think obviously Meghan maybe uses some of that as leverage, but yeah, it's one of those things though where it's really a double-edged sword. It could hurt Meghan as much as it could help her, and which I don't think is very much. So it's best really to keep those things close to the vest and maybe use them as leverage. But other than that, if she has a picture of the sleeping Charlotte and she releases it, the royal family goes, we asked her, that's complete breach of protocol. Will that come back and bite Meghan immediately on the butt? Oh, heck yeah. Would that come back and bite her on the behind? That's just so inappropriate. Everybody would agree how monstrously inappropriate that is. So I don't think she wears as many wires as people think she does. Do I think she goes back and immediately writes down everything she hears? Yes. Does she try to monitor and catalog everything every interaction that she's had and everything? Yeah. Is she probably going to use it for a book? Probably. Because again, she has nothing else. She was never a talented actress to begin with. That was her major reason why she didn't do well in Hollywood. Michelle asked, do you think that H coming alone is more shows more issues in their marriage? Yes and no. It makes sense because Meghan doesn't like the ego bruising she would get by coming to the UK and perhaps being jeered and on the receiving ends of booze and perhaps even eggs and tomatoes. I don't think she would like that for her public image. Yet at the same time, I can't imagine how there's not a lot of stress in their marriage. I can't imagine. Harry is away from his entire family. He has no support really besides Meghan. And I'm sorry, but their dynamic seems really toxic to me. You don't need to cling to your partner that way, especially when you're in your 40s. You don't need to do that. And it's just very controlling and demanding. And I just don't think at the end of the day, I just don't think their marriage is going to go very well. In the end, Harry will either wake up at some point or Meghan will get bored and dump him if she finds them worth more money. Because I think she thought the royals were worth a lot more money than she thought they were. If you wanted money, honey, go and try to seduce the Duke of Westminster. He's the one with the billions. If the royals need a private jet, they borrow his. That's who they borrow. And he is the godfather of Prince George. So if you want somebody with a lot of money, you go with the Duke of Westminster. But Meghan, I think, wanted the fame and fortune. And again, she's just not as bright as she wants us to all think she is. Clarissa asks, do you think Meghan will have People magazine cover Archie's birthday? Probably. I would not be surprised. Kimberly asks, please tell me you heard this is going to be a tiara event. So we know at least for the ministers who are going, so these are the members of parliament and stuff, that according to what I've heard, reports indicate they will wear formal day dress. We do not know what the royal ladies will wear yet. That has not been officially confirmed. It was apparently officially decided this week. So the ladies are putting their last minute feelings on their last minute pieces on their items. I'm hoping it's a tiara event, at least for the royals. But since there won't be a lot of dukes and duchesses there because they've decided not to ask many of the peers to come, it'll just be interesting to see, because again, you don't want the too big difference between the crowd and the royals, but at the same time, the royals do need to stand out, and I think Catherine definitely should be wearing a tiara. I'm not so sure about the rest of the royals, but it would be nice once again to see like Eugenie and Beatrice wear tiaras, because that'll be probably the last time they ever do publicly. Sue asked, will Harry return from the coronation to find Meghan sobbing on the floor? Probably, because she's always sobbing on the floor. Every time they say that, I was like, how stable of a person is she? Because she's always sobbing on the floor. So, but there. Livia asks, hello, Britt. Have you seen the French report on Archwell Foundation? Yes, I posted about that last night on Twitter. And I did find it really interesting. And I loved how they went to the offices. And of course, there's nobody there. And much like Harry and Meghan's charity, it's as empty as their hearts is. So not surprised in the slightest. And everybody's like, well, what's going on with it? Again, huge questions. How many dishes will be destroyed the day in California, especially after she sees Princess Catherine in all her glory? Probably lots and lots. But she'll have to get used to that because, again, this is the world Meghan has decided on. Meghan decides she wanted Hollywood over royalty. And guess what? That has consequences. I just don't understand why that didn't ever occur to her. I thought she was an intelligent adult. She's told us numerous times how smart she is, or her friends or sources have. So it's like, how did you not know this? This is not hard to figure out. But so we have, let's see. Somebody said somebody had a really good question. Let me see if I missed that good question, and it's probably too far back. Vicky asked, good morning. How have you heard anything about King Philippe and Queen Letizia having marital problems? I haven't heard anything about that. I do follow a royal forum called Royal Dish. I haven't seen anything on there, and I don't always look for them. I don't think they would be. I've seen them together recently. They seem to be solid, but again, the disadvantage, at least with some of the royal reports, is that they're in obviously their native language, and I don't speak Spanish. And so I'm sure there's some things that I'm missing in some of the more tabloid spaces. I actually bought a couple of foreign tabloids when I was in Europe last year, just because I just thought it would be fun to check them out later, even though I haven't quite yet. Michelle asked, did you see where the Trooping the Color is going to be on June 17th? Will you be going? Yes. So I have the tour I'm doing of London and the Cotswolds later this year. And I went ahead and decide to stay until trooping, because I just thought that would be a great chance, especially if the coronation day ends up being too packed and I just can't get maybe the pictures or videos I want. It would just still be fun to see another big royal event. So yeah, I will be going. Kimberly, oh, thank you so much for the super sticker, Kimberly. You are so kind. Ashley said, just coming in, she rejected, but Harry accepted. Is that what's happening? Yes. So Meghan was invited. She decided to reject the invitation. Harry decided to attend. Again, Harry had to attend. He would look terrible if he didn't. Meghan comes off looking a little less bad, but at the same time, them not bringing their kids, not having any family time with any of the extended family, and then complaining that it's the royals that's the problem. It's like, well, no, really it's you that's the problem. The royals seem to get along with each other just fine. It's you that doesn't seem to get along with anyone. So I think, again, it confirms the reports that really Harry and Meghan are the toxic element here. That's what this confirms once again, and that Meghan is so, I think, worried about her ego getting bruised by being booed by the crowd that she just doesn't want to go. Anybody else buffering? Oh, I hope not. That's kind of a little bit ago. Oh, I'm so far behind. Sharon asks, I understand Fergie will be invited to all the family functions. She may go to the family ones, but she won't go to the coronation. It's a state event. Fergie has been separated from Andrew for years, and he is no longer in favor anyway, so why would she go? It just makes sense. K Meditat. Thank you so much for the tip. K Mediate. Meditate. Right. I read that half of Britain doesn't care about the coronation. True? Yeah. So a recent poll, I believe it was from YouGov, and I'm sorry, at the top of my head, I don't remember the numbers, basically said that there's just not a lot of Britons aren't interested in it, especially young Britons. This is a problem the royal family is having, is that it does harken back to a later age, and obviously the way politics are going and how certain social movements are going, that the Brits or the royals kind of fall out of favor to a certain extent, or just not as interesting. And I think Harry and Meghan contribute to them looking more like the Kardashians and less like royals. And I think that blurring of the line doesn't help anyone. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be a lot of support. So that may mean it's easier for me to get a spot to see the coronation. But am I excited to see that maybe there's less people interested? No, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. And it'll be just, again, interesting to see how Catherine and William really come to the forefront and try to figure this out. Because unfortunately, the royal family right now also has an age problem. Most of its members are in their 60s, if not 70s plus. And I think I did an average one time. And with Catherine and William, it brought the average down, I think, into the mid 60s. But other than that, it was pushing 70. Because you got to think all the Queen's cousins are a lot older than Charles, or maybe not a lot older, but older than Charles. And so I think that's a big concern, is that they need some fresh blood. And yes, the Wales' children will be that, but it'll be at least, perhaps a good, at least 15 years maybe until they start being working royals. And they may have to be working royals earlier because they so desperately need some of that young blood. And while I will say that Harry and Meghan were somewhat good in a way because they did attract some of that younger element, obviously they're still deeply problematic, did not respect the tradition, the hierarchy, any of that. So yes. All right, Leslie Warren, thank you so much for the tip. I will be in the crowds. Do wear your so happy to wear your merch. Can't wait. Yay. I'm so excited. Yes, I am excited to go and do that. I need to stop by the shop today or maybe sometime this week and hopefully order some of it because it's getting so close. It's like, oh my gosh. I think because I obviously had another full-time job here and I went recently full-time on the channel. I think in the beginning of the month, especially because I was traveling midweek and coming back and everything, I took the first 2 weeks, I took it a little bit slower than maybe I should have, but I was also really tired. I'd been doing 2 classes online and I was just like, and 2 jobs, it was just exhausting. So I think next week I'll definitely get all back on focus a bit more. And I got my taxes done. That was like the biggest because I was so worried. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing my taxes. If you don't know, U.S. taxes are always due usually the 15th of April. And this year it was pushed to the 18th. But I didn't really get a chance to work on any of it until like the 1st of April when I was all done with both of my jobs. Because it takes a while. So yeah. Sharon says, if all were perfect with H&M and the royal family, Doria would have been invited to the coronation. That's probably true. If there was a good relationship, if there was a good relationship between Harry and Meghan and the institution, Doria probably would have come. She would have been invited. She is a family member. She would have perhaps been close. But again, Harry and Meghan have denied even her mother an opportunity to be at the coronation, attend a historic event, because it's a horrible institution, racist institution. But please call our children a prince and princess of Sussex, because, you know, that horrible institution is just so horrible. But, you know, we'll use every advantage we have of it. And hey, say hello to Miss Pippa, guys. She is lots of kisses. Yes. Okay. So Disfan asks, do you plan on interviewing Robert Jobson for his recent book on King Charles? I saw where the Daily Mail talked about the Queen's final balcony appearance. Yes, I do plan on requesting an interview for him about that, because I do find it's really interesting. I know some people don't like him because they think he's more pro-Sussex, but on this channel, I try to be nuanced. I know that's, I know I'm really hard on Harry and Meghan at times, but I really do try to be nuanced. And so I'm going to, I just would love to hear some of his thoughts about it. Especially, there was a couple interesting bits in his book. Now I can't think of them off the top of my head. But, you know, Meghan really is, I think it was in my video, Meghan, royal in-law from hell, because she's really one of the worst people I think you could have marry into an institution like this in the modern age, because she's trying desperately to modernize it in her image, and she doesn't understand any of it in the tradition, and then she'll mock it, and it's just very bad. All right. So Trisha asks, what do you think she'll pull attention on the day? I think it'll have something to do with Archie's birthday, because, you know, maybe they have, like, you know, the very expensive Montecito version of Chuck E. Cheese somewhere, because that's about, you know, what 4-year-olds like. I don't remember my 4th birthday. You all tell me if you remember your 4th birthday. I definitely don't. And again, I think Archie probably won't remember his 4th birthday unless it becomes traumatic and his mom has a meltdown because she's not at the coronation. Catherine gets to wear this massive tiara that she would never get to dream of wearing. But I do also think, like, he would remember a coronation with his grandfather. He would remember all the pomp and the ceremony and I just think, again, Harry and Meghan denying their children this, I think just shame on them. That's really just to save Meghan Markle's ego. I just really think it's quite sad. Oh, Chris, thank you so much for the tip. You are so kind. Thank you. Then we have Seba as well. Thank you so much. Heard H will not be in the same screenshot as William. He'll be several rows back. Yes, I think very much. I made this prediction earlier. If they went, they would be treated like they were at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, as far away from the senior royals as humanly possible. Because you got to think too, Harry's not even popular anymore. And that's a huge part of it as well, is that Harry and Meghan don't even have the leverage of going, well, we're so popular, you should sit next to us because we're so popular. No. So you need to sit Harry as far away from you as possible, because he's the toxic element, not only within your family, but publicly as well. You don't want your public image being pulled down because you're sitting next to Prince Harry. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am so far behind, guys. My apologies. I try to get to as many questions as I can. All right, Michelle Leonardi, thank you so much for the tip as well. I feel so bad for Archie and Lilibet. They're going to have a lot of psychological and attachment issues as they get older, between the narcissism and sheltering from the world. So sad. I do think it's sad. I do think it's sad. What we saw at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which I think was brilliant, was all these kids interacting, all the Windsor kids, and having fun, messing with each other, you know, hanging out, kind of almost hanging all over each other and just having a lot of fun. What that tells me is that they're a family. They're a family that interacts with each other. They're a family that loves each other. And they're a family really that does appreciate each other, and they are a unit. Whereas Harry and Meghan denying their kids that opportunity look once again increasingly like the outsiders, and Lilibet and Archie are going to bear the brunt of that, because how much easier will it be to strip Archie and Lily of their precious prince and princess titles when William becomes king, or Charles maybe has to finally make that decision? So easy, because they're not there. They're not there. Nobody knows them. Nobody cares. And again, Meghan just doesn't seem to think through any of that. You need the people to care. That's a huge portion of the royal thing, is you need people to care. The less people care and the more people don't like you, the more they think you're damaging the bigger institution, the bigger picture, the easier it'll be to play your titles and your kids' titles. It'll be so easy. Nobody is going to be screaming in the corner, really going, what, Prince Archie, Princess? No, nobody's going to be screaming about that. They're going to be saying, we amended letters of patent. And like I said, which they did not follow my suggestions, which they so should, is follow the Swedish method. They must be raised and educated in the UK to have titles and be in the line of succession. That was actually part of it as well. And Harry and Meghan's kids don't have that. And so they should be, why even, like, it's just such a joke. They're not there. Their parents clearly don't care. I mean, you got Princess Madeline, who lives in the United States. She's going to go back to Sweden, but does she have a good relationship with her family? Yes, she does. So are her kids at risk? No. Were her kids at risk if they spent their entire childhood in Florida and didn't go back to Sweden for their education? Yes. But their parents decided, you know what, we spent some time in Florida. Now we're going to go back to Sweden and ensure their legacy, their history, their heritage. They actually put their children first. I feel like Harry and Meghan never put their children first. They never think through the larger implications of what they're doing and how their kids will be impacted, which again, I just think it's very, very sad. Bellorama 100. I'm proud of you all. Your channel is growing and I enjoy it. As a German living in Florida, I grew up following all royals, and it's nice to see an American who discusses other royals besides the British. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love discussing the other royals, and I'm looking forward to getting more videos about them because I think they're so interesting. And there's, a decent amount of scandals and all these sorts of things that you just never hear about. And part of it's the language barrier. So almost part of me wants to learn like a royal language of one of the royal families just so I can read the gossip magazines and learn more about what's going on. Thankfully, Google Translate is there and stuff, but it's even hard, I think, to keep up with some of those things. So, but I'm glad you appreciate it. I really do love following all the royals. And I just think it's really, I'm glad we don't have something like that here because we did fight against it. But at the same time, it is something really cool and really an important aspect of history, I think. Beverly says, even though the mattress actress is not wanted by a lot of the British people, it is so disrespectful of her after Charles paid for her wedding, walked her down the aisle, and her $2 million. Yeah, it is disrespectful. You just can't get around it. It's horribly disrespectful to Charles, to the royal family, to the British people, to people who have given her everything. Without the royal family, Meghan Markle would still be a no-name actress in Toronto. Without Prince Harry, nobody would know who she is. Nobody would care. And that's just the honest truth. And it's just so, so sad that she can't pony up the courage to just do one day with them. Just do one day. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt you. It won't hurt you at all. Leah says, is there a possibility the U.S. does not let Harry back after the coronation because of, because of the drugs? No, I think he'll still be welcome back. I don't think that'll be an issue. It's being led mostly by a Republican organization, but I think there's a lot of questions. And I think obviously it just doesn't even look good for Harry and Meghan, as so much does. Harry said too much in his book. He said way, 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 way too much. So Trina says, is it true that her podcast is a go? Well, I've heard it. I can't remember now who it was, if it was People or something that said, yes, her podcast was going. Now, could news have broken while I was on this live stream? Sure. But I don't really believe it unless Spotify says it. I don't really believe it unless Spotify says it. We've had this a lot with, I follow kind of a lot of what's going on within the Lucasfilm and Marvel studios because I find the disintegration of Disney fascinating from both the business perspective and somebody who was like a huge Disney fan for a long time. Seeing them crash and burn is both sad and interesting. But like, for example, Lucasfilms will announce a lot of projects that like never get off the ground. And because there's a lot of tension between Lucasfilms and Disney Studios because the Star Wars properties, in the sequel trilogy they did between the first one and the third one, they lost half the revenue from the movie. Went from, I think, close to 2 billion to 1 billion between those three films. And like the franchise is almost dead. It's not a very popular franchise anymore. And so all that to say, Lucasfilm will go, oh yeah, we're making such and such, and it never goes anywhere, never gets off the ground. It's basically an empty thing to try to drum up publicity and interest in hopes that Disney will greenlight something. And I could kind of see Meghan in the same way going, oh, we're getting a second season of Archetype season 2. Yeah, it's coming. And then Spotify somewhere down the line goes, no. I could be totally wrong. Not saying that. I could be totally wrong. Again, it drummed up interest, but did it drum up conversion? And Spotify has already said that from a business perspective, they think that they overbought into the podcast sphere, and that's not where they want to go. Now, will I be doing a podcast? Yes, I will be doing a podcast at one point. It'll be about history. I have a really good idea for it, I hope, and it'll be awesome. But I think it'll probably launch in September is when I'm thinking. So not right now. Asma says, do you think Meghan will compete with Lily for attention in the future? Yes. I think, and for all of Diana's great, she had wonderful characteristics. She also, I think, would have been competing with her daughters-in-law for attention too. I think that was part of her thing, and not maybe necessarily consciously, but I think Diana did. She both craved the publicity and didn't like it at the same time, kind of like Meghan. Meghan craves the publicity but hates all the negative press. And so what I think Diana would have competed with perhaps Catherine and Meghan, yes, she would have loved Catherine, I think, and the stability Catherine has brought William. Would she have liked Meghan? I think her and Meghan would have gotten along like water and oil. Those women would have been, because I think they have their worst traits in common. And so I just think they would have been all the time. I don't think Meghan would have gotten past the front door, especially because she plays off his mother wound. And so I just don't even think she would have been even a blip on the radar. Michelle Leonardi says, and thank you so much for the tip. Also, I saw something about merch, so I must have missed it. Do you have a link where you can get it? So yeah, so I had a shirt that I sold in November, and it was called Recollections May Vary, and it's sold out, and I need to order more of them, and I have them in a dark navy color, which I do love. It's not this shirt, because this shirt's a different shirt, but the color is about the same, have white lettering on it. So I do want to get those back and perhaps order some more things too. But there'll be some things I get just for me. So when I'm traveling and representing and covering royal events, I have something with my logo on it and everything. But I may sell some of that if y'all are interested. But yeah, so I don't have a link yet, but I will. It was just, I need to give it some time because, packaging and shipping everything myself, like I did, because I really wanted to make sure the quality was good. That was a lot. That was a lot of work. And I only had 100 orders, and it was like insanely a lot of work. I was surprised how much that took. And so it was just like, but I love the shirts. So many of you guys gave me such great compliments on them. So I know they were great. And that's why I wanted to make sure is that some of these other places where you can kind of order on demand, the quality might not be there. So kind of liked having my own shirts. And Kim says, hey, Brittany, are Harry and Meghan getting big settlements when they sued the tabloids? I think that is their driving force in not making the tabloids better. Yes and no. They get somewhat of a good settlement, but not really that much. Not really that much. And when it came to Meghan's, some of it, I think, just boosts her ego, going, yes, I want to get some tabloids. And I think part of the desire is thinking if they sue them enough, the tabloids will stop publishing negative stories about them. I'm like, no, do you not understand journalists at all? That just makes them more infuriated and more interested in trying to crush you. Yeah, again, cause and effect is a mystery to the two of them. Again, I just wonder how they got through life at some points, because it's like, it just seems like it's a total and complete mystery to them. And I don't know why that's so hard. Just saying, in my opinion, it's just a matter of time until Lily and Archie start coming for the whales as kids, just like their parents. They'll be raised to believe they've been slighted somehow. Yeah, they could be raised with a real chip on their shoulders. And again, does that help them? No, it really doesn't. And I know Harry and Meghan talked about, we're trying to avoid, wounding our children like we were wounded. And I'm like, but you're giving your kids different wounds. I no parent is perfect. No parent is perfect. Even if you perhaps adjust and prevent yourself from you believing that you're giving your kids the wounds that you had, you might be giving them different wounds. And so are you really helping your kids? I don't know. And I just think, it'll just be very, very sad. And I think a very toxic dynamic. And that's why I think they just need to say, Charles needs to say, hey, if you want to pull his titles, Harry's, tell the government, go ahead and do it. We won't stand in your way. And if that means Archie and Lilibet don't have a prince and princess titles and we amend the letters of patent, so be it. And they could say too, which is said, we told Harry and Meghan that at some point, the letters of patent may be amended and those kids may lose their titles. We told Harry and Meghan that before they decided to give their kids title of a prince and princess. So it's not our fault that they went against our advice and gave their kids these titles only to have them be stripped, 5 to 10 years later. That's not our fault. That's their parents' fault. And again, well, here Archie and Lily might be teased because their kids at school go, well, you're the prince and princess of Sussex. Have you ever been to Sussex? I ain't calling you a prince or princess. Again, that's just me supposing. And then if their titles get pulled, they might get teased even more. So, again, I feel like everything's moving. Every glance Harry and Meghan look is towards monetization, but I don't think it helps their kids at the end of the day. Do you know what the RF should apologize for? Nothing, until Harry and Meghan can come to them with their own apologies. So Harry, in his interviews surrounding his book Spare, he went and he said that he wants the family to apologize. And he's like, well, and if they can give us a list of things we need to apologize for. And I'm like, no. If you're an adult, you should know what you're apologizing for. The royal family should not have to tell you that. If the royal family has to tell you that, then that's kind of a dangerous element in a lot of ways, because that might mean that, hey, the kids don't even, that might mean that you don't recognize what you did is wrong. And every slight that the royal family gives you, you'll put down in a book and then you'll use against them at a later point. And Harry and Meghan had this whole list of grievances, which are probably completely different than what the royal family sees as the actual issue. And again, Harry said twice in interviews that his family thinks he's delusional and paranoid. And you cannot reason with a delusional and paranoid person. You just can't. You can't reason with Harry and Meghan. They're in the multiverse. They're in a completely different plane of existence in their own little narcissistic bubble in Montecito, California, thinking that they're going to be as big as Steven Spielberg, and they're just not. And I think that's what they want the royal family to apologize for. And I'm like, they wanted the royal family to apologize for pretty much everything that they did not just bend the knee to Meghan Markle. That was the issue. Michelle, thank you once again. I also find it funny Harry and Meghan is H&M. Yes, it is really funny. It is really funny. But surprisingly, Meghan, as far as we know, has never worn H&M. As far as we know. Because now everything must be Dior. It must be Gabrielle Hearst. It must be, she just wears insanely expensive, plain things. Oh, I still can't get over her and the Dior Bermuda shorts. That outfit just, again, it's a crime against Dior. It just says, hi, Brittany. Oh, hi, Kat from Oregon. Love the chat. Thank you. Asma asked, what's Harry's talent in Los Angeles? Being a royal that doesn't have a crown or a throne or anything. Being a hapless royal with a rather unimpressive military career. His military career really wasn't that impressive. Kimberly says, how do you send a super sticker or tip? I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure. I think there's a button somewhere if you want to, but no worries. Alina says, hey, Brittany, I love watching your channel. What do you think about Prince William's presumed affair? I'm seeing a lot of videos lately about it, and also about Prince William's pressured divorce. So, did William have an affair? I don't think so. Is it possible? Of course, anything's possible. We don't know what goes on entirely behind closed doors. And I don't want to say an absolute, because it could be entirely true. And I realize, wow, I'm way far behind. I'm at 10:24 and it's 10:55. But I really don't think he had. I don't think so. But again, there were aspects in their relationship, I think, especially early on, where marriage, I think at the beginning was a little tough for them, because I think they were trying to figure out the royal thing in addition to their marriage. And then they had kids brought into the mix. And there was a lot of pressure to have the heir and the spare. They really needed to cement that line. And so I think there was pressure. They were putting pressure on themselves, I think. And again, not saying that nothing could have happened. No idea. But I did a whole video. I don't think divorce is in the future for them. I think they know they can't divorce. And I think that's a good thing to see, and because it forces you to work through some of your issues. Now, some issues cannot be worked through. That's not what I'm saying at all. But sometimes in our modern society, we make divorce a little bit too easy. And Catherine and William, they spent a long time dating. They know each other very, very well. They know their families very, very well. They know their children very, very well. So the possibility of them divorcing, I think, based on their shared history and everything, I think is really, really remote. I think it is. Not saying, of course, anything is possible, guys. It always is. But I think generally, I don't think it'll happen. So Fred asks, what is your contingency plan for British weather, umbrella or waterproof hat? I'm not worried. I actually lived in a place where I got a decent amount of rain. So rain doesn't bother me too much unless it's like absolutely pouring. That's miserable. But I have shoes that I will wear. I'll probably bring my old trusty Ugg boots and that are rubber and waterproof, because I actually wore them in Boston. I actually stepped in a gigantic puddle that was like 2 or 3 inches deep and my feet were completely dry. So I was like, oh, these are good. They're really worn. I really need to replace them, but I haven't seen anything that I like yet that works. So I'll probably wear those, and I'll probably wear some of my outfits. Probably my merch in terms of that. But probably the thing I'm most worried about is the cameras. The camera equipment is probably what I would be most concerned about weather-wise. So I do have some weatherproofing equipment for the cameras. And so that would be probably the biggest thing I would be worried about is the cameras. I don't want to damage the cameras because they're pricey and they help my business grow. And I want to have some really, really great pictures. So I'm really, really hoping the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, we got gorgeous weather. It was sunny. The temperature was great. It was awesome. It was wonderful. Brittany, do you know if being a Duke and Duchess of Sussex means that they have some duties there? No, it doesn't mean anything. Pretty much it's a pointless thing anymore. The only duchies that matter in terms of actually having, in terms that the royal family holds, they hold a basket of duchies within their control that they can give to members of the family as they get married. When it comes to the Duchy of Sussex, there's nothing attached to it. The only duchies that have money and financial and perhaps you could say duties attached to them are the Duchy of Cornwall, which is now controlled by Prince William, and the Duchy of Lancaster, which is controlled by King Charles. So there's more money in the Duchy of Cornwall than there is in Lancaster, but there's also a lot of stipulations about what they can sell, and they don't have full control over the duchies. Like there's certain things where if they do something, they have to get government permission to do. So those are just a little bit different that way. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing for sure. Kids Relevant asked question: do you think King Charles will remove the titles after the coronation? He might. It'll be interesting to see if that happens or not. So definitely something to look into in the future. And Lorenz asks, in Germany, it is fairly easy for royal social media reporters to get accredited as press. So perhaps royal visits in Germany, like the Invictus Games in Dusseldorf, might work. I actually thought about that. I'll be kind of sort of around, but they had to change the dates for the trip to Scotland. So I may not be able to cover really Dusseldorf, but I'll be covering in Sweden. So I'm hoping the Swedes are more willing. And I understand the British cannot accredit everyone based on how big potentially all the creditors are, but it would have been nice, at least just kind of helpful just to be able to move around a bit more and get coverage. Because once you're there, if you've never been in a crowd of that size, once you're there, especially if you got a good spot, you really can't move. So you can't go down the line and interview people. You just really got to stay where you are. There's just no opportunity. Yes, this is answering a question or something I was thinking about earlier. Yes, I agree with Brittany. Meghan uses that blackmail. Remember what Gayle King said. She tells me she has receipts. Yeah, I think Meghan has receipts. I don't know if the receipts she has are as good as she thinks they are, but we'll have to see. Just saying, question, out of the 100 million Netflix paid, how much do you think they really ended up with after costs and taxes? I don't know. I don't even think they got the full payout yet. They've only produced one thing. Did they get a bonus because it did so well? Probably. Beyond that, did they get that much? I don't think so. At least not yet, because they haven't produced much. They produced one thing. And was that worth $100 million to Netflix? Well, Netflix will be the ultimate judge of that, but I don't know. Julia says, is it possible Meghan is quiet and snubbing so she can be even more toxic claims in her next rebrand book? Probably. Meghan is constantly trying to rebrand, trying to adjust her image because it's tanked so incredibly badly. Again, I don't think cause and effect with Harry and Meghan. This is just like so confusing to them. I just don't understand. Kids Relevant asked, do you think Harry is really going to the coronation? Yes, I think he's going. Again, he was probably forced to go by Meghan going, we need that royal connection. You need to go. So he's going. Jackie asks, Harry is supposed to inherit money from at 40 from the Queen Elizabeth II. Do you think Meghan will hang on until he inherits this money? She might. And again, they have more contracts they need to fulfill. So that might be driving them as well. So Michelle asked, last one, I promise. Oh, LOL. I usually watch all of YouTube videos on 1.5 times, so it is funny watching the live streams because you seem to talk really slow. Oh, thank you. I hopefully not too slow. And I talk fast anyway. So, man, I must talk really fast in 1.5 times. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it does help get your thing through. Elle says your hair color rocks. It looks great. Thank you. I got it done this week because my roots were starting to look bad. I used to forever. I would go like 3 months between highlights and stuff because it's pricey, and I have a lot of hair, but it's very thin and fine. So I end up staying in the chair. It seems like forever. But because of the channel and I need to look good, I have to do it all the time now. So that's fun. Not that I'm totally complaining, but it is costly. It is pricey. Asma says, is Meghan in therapy due to her crying all the time? Probably not. It's always Harry in therapy. Harry always needs help. Meghan never needs any help, guys. She is a perfect human being. Elle says, do you think Harry will meet with his father privately? Oh, gosh, I don't know. If I was Charles, would I want the headache of dealing with my narcissistic, delusional, paranoid son? Probably not. Will Charles say a kind word to him? Yes. Will he spend much time with them? I mean, for your own sanity, I would say no. Charles, don't do it. Don't do it right now. Do it at another time. I don't have any problem with that. But if you're stressed about that week, what you don't want is a guy who struggles with delusions and paranoia and all these sorts of things and who is so toxic talking to you and messing with your head. You don't need that. Charles needs to be on point. He needs to be focused, and he needs to be enjoying his weekend and not trying to deal with the craziness that is Harry and Meghan, even if it's just Harry. Crazy Diamonds asks, hi, Brittany, do you think she would change her mind and show up at the last minute? I mean, at this point, I don't think they would fit her in because they're like, well, you didn't. It would just, once again, it would just look dumb. Golly. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, Elizabeth G. asks, Meg must be bummed at Reese Witherspoon adores that Catherine. She probably does. Yeah. Siba asks, question, is it true Camilla wants to meet Harry to try to iron things out? Maybe, maybe not. At this point, though, until Harry's delusionality ends, there's no point. I'm so sorry. There's just no point. There's no point. The delusions are just bad. And yeah. And you can't deal with somebody who does not have the same definition of the event you do. You can apologize. Of course, apologize to somebody when he said, hey, I've done something wrong. But when what Harry thinks that has been done wrong and the royal family thinks they have done wrong are in separate hemispheres, then there's no meeting at the middle because the royal family is apologizing for, hey, I'm sorry we didn't do enough perhaps to, what would they even apologize for? I don't know. They could say, well, we're so apologies that we couldn't acquiesce to all of your demands. We just can't do that. And Harry's like, and his thing, he wants them to apologize for not helping Meghan through her mental health crisis, which doesn't make any sense because the whole situation doesn't make any sense. Harry didn't tell them about it. The royal family, especially women who are pregnant, have access to any medical help they want. In addition, Meghan managed to keep her entire medical team for her pregnancy private. So how in the world could she not find a mental health professional to help her with her apparent negative thoughts during her pregnancy? I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think it makes sense. The illogic of Meghan and her actions is really crazy when you think about it. You can just dismantle most of her arguments. They just don't make sense if you know the bigger picture. If you're not really into the royal sphere, if you don't follow royals, I can see where you would kind of get, oh, maybe she's telling the truth here. But if you follow royals like I do, and followed them for a long time, and I remember in the Oprah Winfrey interview, she goes, well, I went to the HR of the palace. I was like, well, why? That just doesn't make any sense. Logically, why would you go to HR in the royal palace? They're there for the staff. They're not there for you. You're not staff. It was just so dumb. And it felt like an attempt to put down a paper trail of, oh, I was struggling and nobody helped me, when it was Harry's job, because this is a family internal matter, not a matter of staff, really, to figure out how to get her help. And Harry's a mental health professional, is he not? He's told us a dozen times how much he's been in therapy. So somehow he couldn't help his wife. Again, Once you hit logic into Harry and Meghan's arguments, they all fall apart. The wrong shoes. Is it possible she'll come to the UK with the children but not attend the coronation? She may, but again, that just, why not do that in the beginning? Again, it's just one of those things. Chateau Paper Crafts asks, what do you think the chances of Meghan showing up are, keeping her attendance a secret because of the dangerous media? I mean, it could be, but again, it'll just scream publicity stunt. And will she do that because she can't help herself? I mean, definitely not outside the realm of possibility at all. Meghan loves herself a good publicity stunt, and then complains at all of us for noticing it's a publicity stunt. But yeah, so Princess Charlotte has a birthday on Tuesday of the coronation week. She will turn 8. So it's not just Archie that week. Yeah. And Louis will turn 5 a couple of days before. So again, life happens around birthdays. And part of your job as a kid is to know that, yeah, you have to go to your class on a birthday. Now, my birthday almost always fell over spring break. So I was almost always on vacation for my birthday, which was super nice. Super nice. And my sister's a teacher. So even when we go on family vacations, they're usually over they're usually over the same time period. So I'm almost always on vacation for my birthday, which was always really nice. But yeah, my sister had to go to school on her birthday. You know, you learn as kids, you go to school on your birthday. A lot of them do. Not everyone, obviously. So this idea that, you know, sometimes there's big events on your birthday. Yeah, that's right. Again, it's just one of those life things. Life cannot stop just because your kid has a birthday, and because people in certain worlds, so they live such challenging lives anyways. It's like, the world doesn't stop because it's your birthday. That's just my thing. Spring Bread, thank you so much for the super sticker. You are so kind. And Squash Girl asked Royal Rubes, Brittany, what do you think about being... Okay, sorry. What do you think about this being what you call your audience? Royalist Rubes. Oh, that's a good name. That's a good name. Gotta think about it. Huh. Brittany, just want to let everyone know in the UK we are dancing in the streets as you know who is not coming. Oh, yes. I think there's a lot of excitement. Lisa says, do you think Camilla's children will do royal events as the children of the Queen? I think they'll be at mostly family events. And again, I have mixed feelings about them being at the coronation just because I think it's good that they're pages of honor, yet at the same time, just don't want to make sure they're not too at the forefront because they're not royals. Again, but I like the fact that they're family and they're there. Julia says, is it possible Meghan is snubbing support for King Charles so she cannot make even more toxic claims in her next rebrand book effort? So this is from Julia. And thank you so much for the tip. Yes, I think that's entirely possible. Meghan is a toxic person so much. And she just, I don't know how she functions. I really don't. I can't be that toxic. I really can't. So yeah. Kit Kat, thank you so much for the tip again. Congrats on building your empire and leaving your job to go full time. You're so brave. Will there be any moment in which Harry will have to ceremoniously bow before the king as the Duke of the Realm? I believe so. And that's perhaps what Harry and Meghan, to a certain extent, or at least Meghan, wanted to avoid, is having to curtsy to Catherine and really being very much relegated to back row. I think that's what she wanted to avoid. But yeah, going full time is super exciting, super nerve wracking, especially because April was a little slow. And I'm like, but I'm super excited. It'll just be a great opportunity. And being in school as well, I'm looking forward. I got an A in my first class, and next class is going well too. And I'm just really looking forward to having an opportunity to increase my skills in history. So I can be a royal commentator and a royal historian. I'm doubling my efforts, guys. I want to be the top of the top. So maybe if you're like, I don't believe her totally as a royal correspondent, but can you believe me as a royal historian? Yes, because I got access to things. I wonder how Meghan will pose the coronation, a rejection by the palace or her rejecting the institution. It could be seen as both ways because some people are like, oh, she's so powerful. She's pushing against the institution. It's like, no, she's capitulating. She doesn't want to be ridiculed and mocked on attending again. But that is her. I saw on another channel, this is from Winderin, that Meghan will be staying in Florida for Archie's birthday. Does anyone know if that's true? I haven't heard that. Beth asks, what do you think about the rumor Harry and Meghan are having issues in their marriage? I think they've been having issues for a long time. Again, Harry worships Meghan and Meghan worships herself. And so they're in this kind of toxic bubble of worshiping Meghan Markle. And at some point that will fall apart. Janet Black says, will James and Louise be working royals? No. They're too far down the line of succession. And although their parents are working royals and in great standing, I just don't think they will be. Sandara asks, do you think Meghan will wear a tiara for Archie's royal birthday? I mean, she wants to. I'm sure she wants to, but she doesn't have one. She'll have to borrow something from somewhere. She'll have to buy her own. And then she'll just look increasingly, that just would look so stupid, in my opinion. Crash Heart says, Archie would remember. I almost was 4 when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, and I remember that. Do you think they will ever know their royal side of the family? I don't think so. And again, that makes it so much easier to say, we don't know these kids. Let's just take their titles. It doesn't matter to us. T. Grimm, super sticker. Oh, thank you so much. You are so kind. All right, Bearcat, no question. I just want to buy you some hot chocolate. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have my Whittards here. I'll have to get some more. I'm so bummed Whittards got rid of the cinnamon hot chocolate, which, guys, that was phenomenal. It was so, so good. I saved it to the last because I wasn't sure. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so. And there's this another place too by Harrods that like melts chocolate. And I didn't bring any of it home because I didn't get a chance to go back there. But I do want to try that again. And I did actually tag them on social media and said, ooh, Whittards has competition. They're like, oh, yes, they do. And so I was like, ooh, I really feel like I need to get a hot chocolate sponsor for this Saturday morning live stream. Because I love me some hot cocoa. Simple Midwest Girl asks, why on earth would Meghan stay behind to throw a birthday party for Archie when his father will be out of the country and not there? That is so sad. Yep. Yeah. All right. So Martin, Brittany, here in Britain, and there's a little effort to teach people the history and meaning of the coronation. What do you think about the ceremony has been watered down with less pomps and grandeur to be more modern? I mean, I see both benefits and drawbacks from it because there's, I think the grandeur and the beauty of the monarchy is the pomp and ceremony and the archaicness of it. I think that's part of its charm. But I can also see it being too much for most people. I mean, our attention spans are so short anymore. And so having a long, like 3 or 4 hour ceremony, I think people would tune out. I'm totally frank about it. I think that would be what happens. And honestly, because religion to a certain extent has fallen by the wayside, I think people miss out on the religious ceremonial aspects of it and the importance of that too. I think that would be missed out on. But at the same time, I think making it shorter is a good idea. Do I think not having people be as dressed up is a good idea? I'm not sure because you need the grandness of it. That's part of the fun is all the pomp and ceremony and the horses and the carriages. And we do have some of that, but not as much of it. So it's just kind of a hit and miss thing, I think, in so many ways. And so, but I think teaching people more about the history. I do have the book, The Coronation by Roy Strong. And I do have another book I'm going to request called The Throne that talks about the royals as well. And hopefully maybe get that from the publisher because I'd love to just talk about a bit of that history. I don't think it covers as much as like the Crown of St. Edward's as I would like it to. I will do a whole video on that and on the Imperial State Crown because I just think those are super interesting, and on the Cullinan Diamond because believe it or not, when I was in high school, I did a whole report on the Cullinan Diamond, and I remember 3,106 carats. That's how big it was, and it was a flawless D-carat diamond, and that stuck in my mind because I like looking at diamonds. It's fun to go to Costco and look at the very expensive diamonds they have. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Michelle, once again, thank you so much. JK, LOL. I grew up in a really close-knit family. It was so fun. I agree. I think that's why so much of it is... So sorry. I agree. I think that's why it's so much more sad with Archie and Lily. There's something so special about spending time with your family. Yeah, I think so. And I think once again, there's just no good reason why they cannot be spending more time with their family. There's no good reason. Harry and Meghan have all the resources in the world. And the royals, it doesn't make as much sense for the royals to come to them because they're all in the UK. You can go to the UK and see all your extended family, all of them. And Meghan doesn't have any relationship really with her own family except for her mother and her half sister. No, her half niece. So it's like you just had so many great opportunities. And I do regret that I didn't get a chance to spend more time with my cousins growing up. Some of them were quite a bit older than me. So maybe we would have been super close, but would have been fun to hang out with them. Would they have babysat me quite a lot? Probably. Will we have fun and everything? I think so. I think so. My one of my cousins, I think he would have teased me a ton. He actually joked about taking me hiking, and I'm like, I sent him a picture of myself in my fascinator going, can I wear this? He's like, definitely. He has a very dry sense of humor. So I think personally, Lily and Archie are missing out on a lot. And obviously, families get split apart because of jobs and stuff like that. That's perfectly natural. But what is unnatural to me is having all the resources, all the time, this great opportunity to have your kids be with your family and denying them that. That's what I think is kind of reprehensible in a lot of ways. You could go, but you've decided not to go. And you could have this great moment and decide not to have this great moment. And that's what I think is really, really sad. Sam R., thank you so much for the tip as well. Sussex children won't have much a bond with royals. Maybe Eugenie, Shas, maybe allow a odd photo. Maybe that's supposed to say Charles. Parents can be trusted not to merch them. Congrats on your success. Brittany, watch you grow. Oh, thank you. Yeah, maybe they'll get an odd photo, but really, I don't think they'll get much attention really, or much interaction with the family. And again, that's sad. They're about the same age as the Wales' kids. They could grow up with the Wales' kids. They could spend time with them, but no, they can't. They're all too toxic. But it's like, but I think Catherine and William would be more likely to approach you and develop a relationship than you and Harry would be. So again, who is the really toxic element here? Is it Harry and Meghan, or is it Catherine and William? And I think most of the time we can all agree it's Harry and Meghan, to be quite honest. Nancy, always enjoy your channel. Thank you so much for the tip. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you enjoy it. I enjoy working on this channel. It's so fun. And I'm so glad to kind of get more in the groove next week. It's just been a crazy last several weeks. And I had this event, like I had to get a paper done. And I had started on Friday, Saturday, and finished it on Sunday. I had to turn it in, and thankfully I got 100% on it. But I had also 2 other assignments to do in the span of like 2.5 hours, and I managed to do them and got pretty much an A on both of those. And so I'm able to do things, but it's a lot of work sometimes. But I have enjoyed the process of going back to school so much, and I love this channel. I just can't wait to really continue to grow it. It's going to be so fun. Deborah says, Brittany, do you think Harry is beginning to wake up his mistake for marrying Meghan Markle? Sometimes I think he does. Sometimes I think he doesn't like the clinging anymore, the two-handed death grip. I think sometimes that frustrates him. And I think he sees how his entire public image has taken a hit. And I think sometimes it does dawn on him, but I think it's in the back of his mind. And sometimes it's like something he tells himself in the quietness of a room that he doesn't want to publicly admit out loud yet. Because to admit it out loud is to confirm that you've made a massive, horrific mistake. And this mistake has children involved. This mistake has your family involved. This is a catastrophic, potentially error. And it's negatively impacted your life in so many ways. And that's really hard pill to swallow, I think. Bonnie Ann said, could it be Meghan is going to sneak in for the coronation? She could, but again, I just think it would make her look silly. But again, she's really terrible at her own PR. She's really terrible at it. Priya just gave a super sticker. Thank you so much, Priya. Priyanka, you are so kind. Thank you. We have a question here. Britt. Hi, Brittany. A question about Queen Letizia of Spain. Why does she always move Infanta Sofia away from the king? And do you think she gets along with her mother-in-law? Love your work. Thank you. Her and her mother, so Queen Letizia and Queen Sofia. So Queen Sofia is the former queen. Her husband abdicated because he had numerous affairs. Supposedly he slept, I think, with like 2,000 women. That's like the rumor. And he was caught on a safari with one of his mistresses, and he was involved in financial scandals, and one of his daughters was involved in financial scandals. So this would be the sister of the king. So he had to abdicate. But Queen Sofia is still enormously popular. She's basically the long-suffering wife. But her and Letizia don't get along. Letizia is a very, very modern woman. It's actually really surprising she married in. I don't think really even though they obviously go to a lot of services. I think really if she wasn't a royal, I think she's more of an agnostic or maybe even more of an atheist. I don't think she's really very, very religious minded. And there are rumors she's had an abortion, and she's very much, I don't think, who you would expect to marry in, because it's just not, I don't think, her thing to a certain extent. So I think she's also very, very conscious of the public image and perception of her family, because she was a newscaster. So she's very much, was, I think, a former ballerina. You can see she's like, her posture is unbelievably perfect. And so she, I think, is very aware that her daughter, Princess Leonor, who will be the future queen, needs to be seen with her father, needs to be seen standing next to her father. And Infanta Sofia is the spare. And so Letizia is, I think, very loving to her, obviously, but, just is kind of conscious of that look, that you need to have the king and his heir next to each other. I think she's very, very aware of that. And so it'll be just, so there was kind of a huge bust up, and I think I would cover this in my royal scandals you haven't heard of, is there was this bust up at church where, and to me, it looked like Sophia was trying to grab the girls and like force them into a picture. And Leonor's like, she's like 13, 14. She's like, Grandma, please stop like grabbing me. She's like grabbing them around the neck and like haranguing them into a picture. And Letizia tried to intervene, and a lot of focus went on Letizia, but at some point, like, Leonor like moved her grandmother's arm and was like, no, please stop it. So I don't think there is a lot of love between mother and daughter-in-law when it comes to the Spanish, and because I think Sophia is old school and Letizia is not, and Letizia has kind of a more, again, she's very modern. So anyways, that was a long explanation, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing to see these two women, and who are very, very different. That's, at the end of the day, these are very, very different women. And so it's just, I don't think they get along great. I think Letizia and Philippe, I think their marriage is fine, but again, I'm not privy to all the little tidbits, because a lot of them are in Spanish, and so I just don't know everything. But when it comes to like image, I think Letizia is very conscious of that. She's very, very conscious of that. Oh, Priyanka says, I'm excited to see your coronation coverage. Me too. I'm very excited about it. So Millie says, hi, Brittany, love your channel. Did you get press credentials? So I got the email officially saying that unless you're basically a part of the Associated Press, BBC, ITN, ITV, like a couple, like handful of outlets, then you really won't get press credentials, and you're considered unaccredited media. Because of that, I wasn't really surprised by that. Again, they can't give everybody press credentials. Otherwise, the whole place would be packed with press from all over the world. So I get it that they have to limit it, but it does kind of limit me, because then I can't do, perhaps, because I've wanted to do man on the street interviews, but that just wouldn't be possible, because once you get there at the coronation day, I wouldn't leave. I would find my spot and I would be there until the end of time. Because you don't want to miss out on anything, and there's just so much going on. And once the crowd starts crushing in, you'll have some space, and then the crowd starts slowly pushing in, and then you're stuck. You can't go anywhere. When will you go to England? So I'll go early next month. I'm so excited. And I'm super excited and stoked, because it wasn't that much, at least for one leg of the flight, from wherever I'm leaving from the US. I can't remember where my connection is, to the UK. I did upgrade myself to first class, because it wasn't that much more for just that little leg. And I'm so excited. Never done that before. And last time I had such an awful time with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, because my flight was delayed by a day entirely. And so I just wanted to make sure I had a good, and I was so tired because I had missed my flight. I don't sleep well on planes. I had to get up super early the next morning to call my hotel in London to make sure they didn't cancel my reservation, because I was arriving 24 hours behind. And because of all that, it was just miserable. And I got there and I was like super tired for the first couple of days, and which was really hard because the Jubilee was the next day. So I just wanted to make sure I had a great seat. I was able maybe to sleep, and I'll blog, because I've never done first class before on an international flight. And honestly, guys, I'm so excited. So I will blog a little bit about that, because I've never done it, and I'm just going to be super stoked, and I'm going to Yeah, it's going to be so fun. Catherine says, hi, Brittany. Have you heard of the rumors about King Charles saying that, nah, let William do it? I don't think so. Are you talking about keeping William out? I'm not sure. Okay. CJ says, love your hair. Oh, thank you. The wife creeps me out whenever I'm reminded of her allegedly saying, one, they are one plane crash away from the throne. And two, she gifted Catherine knives for Christmas. Oh, I haven't heard the knives rumor. Oh, that's kind of awful. But yeah, I would not trust Meghan Markle as far as I can throw her. And yeah, I think she's totally, yeah. And thank you. I'm glad because I like, here's one of the things I just hate paying for, but you have to do it. Okay. Millie asks, if they strip them of their titles, what would they be referred to as? Can Prince Harry be stripped of the prince title? Probably not. Is that possible? Maybe. No, I don't know. But yes, it would be Prince Harry and technically Princess Harry. That would be their titles, like Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. So it would be Prince and Princess Harry. So yeah, I mean, there would be more complaints about that, but it could also be just that, that's not really a title you can use except in the UK. So pretty much she's always Meghan Markle. That's what everybody refers to her as. And to be fair, people refer to Catherine as Kate Middleton still. That's for algorithm SEO reasons. I don't think that'll change with Catherine until she becomes queen. I know people complain about that, but guys, honestly, Kate Middleton put that in the title does so much better than Princess Catherine or Princess Kate. I've tried it. I may try it again here from time to time, but honestly, people still do Google Kate Middleton. I do it. There's just so much more there than Princess Catherine. So just to be totally honest, guys, I know some people of you guys hate it, but hey, that's just is what it is. Chelsea says, sorry, Brittany, I might have purchased the last words hot chocolate. Cinnamon hot chocolate. Oh, you did. You got lucky though, man. It is so good. It is so good. I'm so bummed that they got rid of it as far as I could tell. And so I'm like, oh, that's so sad. Because it was so good. I always feel like they get rid of the things I love in restaurants. They got rid of my favorite dish at Olive Garden, at Panera, and they used to have signature hot chocolate at, was it Signatures? I think it was Signatures hot chocolate at Starbucks, which was excellent. It was a very, very chocolatey. Got rid of that. I feel like everything with the most calories in the world, which is what I like the best, tends to get canceled. Yeah. Sad day. Sad day. But I like rich food. I think it's because I can't smell very well. So the richness of the food doesn't bother me quite as much as some people. Like, I like blue cheese, in case anybody was curious. I like most cheese. So we'll wrap up here in a second. But Blue Sky asks, can you all imagine how different life would be if Harry never met Meghan but married a nice American girl like Brittany? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would just, I know my step. Like, if I had married Harry, I would have totally have done like a historic preservation thing as like my focus. But again, Harry is so emasculated at this point. He's not even attractive. Like, he was kind of attractive before, and then his hair started going, and he just is so emasculated. And now he just doesn't have that swagger of a soldier prince anymore. So he's just, that's just me. But Susie says at the crowd coronation, they have giant TV for the crowd. So they do have a couple locations where you can see the giant TV and watch the ceremony. When it comes to the mile, they didn't last time. They made this time. I'll have to see when I get there. I know they're setting up stands. I just don't know where the limits would be. And I'm trying to decide what I will do exactly, because it'd be nice maybe to partner up with a couple people and, camp out kind of the night before. But also, there's a part of me that really doesn't want to do that either. And yeah, so, and there's just the trick too is you just can't drink a lot of water. Have I thought maybe using, no, let's not go there. But so yeah, so there's a couple of different options, but I managed to stay there the whole time during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, but the coronation may be longer because I think they're trying to keep the ceremony an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And I think they went over 2 in their practice run. And to be honest, like, you can't really drink much. And if it does get hot, which I don't think it will, it'll get harder not to drink some water. And so that's a trick to not, obviously having to use the bathroom. And there is a point where you cannot leave the barricades. If you leave the barricades, you'll never see anything. So it's just complicated. It's just hard. It's just weird. Not always all that fun. Mama Otter says, so excited for the London trip. Do you think Charlotte will wear the Queen or Margaret's dress from King George's coronation? What about Louis? I really hope that would be cool. I would love to see her wear that little crown that the Queen wore. I would just so love it. I just so love it. Yeah, I think that would be so, so cool. But we'll have to see. But again, I don't know if they want to go that full bore with a crown. So yeah. Chelsea says you will not regret the upgrade to first class. I flew first class to Italy and it was so fantastic. Yeah, I know. And then when I'm flying back for my mom with my mom is actually going on the London Cotswolds trip because I think she just wants to make sure she wants to check out this Trova trip thing with everyone and making sure it's all a-okay. But yeah, like I'll be in just economy with her, and so I'm like, oh, that's gonna be hard. Because once you go first class, I heard you just never ever want to go back, especially for those long hauls. They're hard, and you don't get a lot of sleep. But it would just be nice to actually. I just can't sleep on airplanes. I'll be just totally honest. I'm a very light sleeper, and so for me, airplanes are just those long haul flights are hard. They're just really, really hard for me. So yeah, I think guys, we will just go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me this Saturday morning. I hope you all enjoyed it and just had a lot of fun. And I know it's just going to be crazy. I'm so sorry if I missed anybody's tip or super sticker. Thank you so much. I just wanted to apologize in case I missed anyone. I try to go back and make sure that I didn't miss anything. But guys, I so appreciate you. And I know you guys are all amazing, and I appreciate you all so much. And so I just hope you have a wonderful Saturday. And it looks like Priyanka, you gave them their super sticker, I think. So yeah. Oh, and just a quick question, Caroline, Costco has diamonds? Yes. Look at their case. Sometimes they have, it depends on where you're at. They have really, really nice diamond engagement rings. Oh, I think, did I miss this one? Oh yeah, no, I did get that one. Okay, guys. So guys, thank you again. Once again, I appreciate y'all so much. Have a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful weekend. Sorry if I missed any big questions or tips or super stickers. I try to catch everything. So guys, thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.